Stephen Carter, I'm Director of Product Marketing at Ivalua.
The commercial payments bill, which is now in the House of Lords, before we kind of dive into what that's going to mean for businesses, for anyone who's perhaps not been following or maybe not aware of it, just kind of give us the cliff notes of what this bill is set to do.
The bill is sort of a culmination of a number of steps that the UK government and wider have gone through. And I think it's now enforcing, if you like, a policy that's been around. Late payments has been around. We've talked about there's been late payment fines, etc. But there's never been a legislative manner. So it's always been difficult for a supplier to take their customer to court for late payment. This bill is going to impose, if you like, legal framework to say, I'm not paid. I've got effectively a legal recourse against my customer. So I'm not going to break a relationship because it's like a speeding ticket. You know, I can get, now I can impose that. And I think one of the important aspects of that does mean that companies on both sides of the buying process, the supplier and the buyer, now have a tighter relationship in law rather than pretty much a freedom and flexibility around being paid late ultimately. And I think that's a really, really important step. And that, once that becomes law, I think it will help, or it should help, cash flow into our smaller, and unlock the cash in the economy, ultimately, is the aim of it.
For those large organisations, teams, their finance teams, their procurement teams who are perhaps thinking, this is going to come into effect, how do we get a jump start on this now so that when it is in place, we're not scrambling, we're not paying the penalties because of practices in the past?
There are a number of lessons. We can look at other regions and other countries, and I'll go back to the e-invoicing stuff. E-invoicing hasn't removed disputes or inquiries. In fact, if you don't have good digital foundation for your data, so you don't have good procurement data, and access to the finance team to get hold of that data, so purchasing orders, contracts, etc., then your disputes aren't going to decline, they're going to go up because invoices arrive instantly and you're going to have to start notifying. So the same applies to this payment. You need to really look at how you get your operations correct, make sure you've got the data there, and you then have the tools that can then use the trigger points, like the invoice, to quickly match. And we're talking about AI here and autonomous capabilities, but that's one of the things that Ivalua and other vendors are doing. We're looking at autonomous AP, which takes the invoice and automatically does all the coding, all the matching. So literally, it arrives in the procurement team or in the finance team within seconds. I think companies need to get ahead of the curve by just making sure that they update their systems and they make sure they've got good data, they've got good processes, source to pay solutions, other things they may need, but they need to start looking at now. Otherwise, when it happens, they get swamped.